Welcome to the SWAYAM NPTEL course on Food Microbiology for Safe and Sustainable Food Systems. In the last class, we were discussing the contaminants of food, and in that we have discussed the chemical, biological and physical contamination of the foods, and after that we have discussed various stages of contamination of food, and now we will be discussing minimization of food contaminations. And in this chapter we will be discussing the introduction, effective mitigation strategies for microorganisms. In that, the pre-harvest or on-farm mitigation strategies, then post-harvest management strategies, then precautions and preventive measures. The pathogens enter, transmit or may cross contamination at any stage of food chain. Several sources of contamination are observed at the farm or harvesting, processing, packaging, storage, transportation, retail and consumer labels. Irrigation water, feed, manure, rodents, birds, livestock animals, wild animals, insects and pests, harvesting equipment, soil, crops and agricultural fields are the major sources of contamination. Water is a major source of infection in the food supply chain by transporting transmissible parasites into crop irrigation water, recreational sites, for example, fresh and marine waters, and public water supplies, for example, food and agro industry use, food preparation and processing. This example or this figure is self-explanatory that how the food contamination takes place by direct and indirect contacts. Effective mitigation strategies for microorganisms. The purpose of modern food production is to reduce human illness by controlling pathogens. Several intervention and mitigation strategies have been carried out in recent years at both pre-harvest or post-harvest levels. These would be advantageous and an impactful approach from the perspective of outbreak prevention. Precise management, rapid identification of infections, tracking of origin and quick removal of contamination at the farm level will reduce the subsequent risk from open grazing animals, the environment and agricultural products entering the food processing chain. Interdisciplinary and multi-level intersectoral approaches and preventive control programs led by professional and institutional bodies are required to prevent any pandemic or global health emergency. Sustainable hygienic practices and awareness in agriculture and food application of bioactive cultures and antibacterial agents in animal husbandry and processing of food could prevent pathogenic transmission and disease risks. Moreover, implementing good hygienic and manufacturing practices and safety management during processing, production and within industrial workers could prevent contamination. The development of antimicrobial food packaging material for the packaging of frozen food, livestock products, seafood, perishable fruits and vegetables, dairy products and high moisture food could reduce post-processing pathogenic contamination. Antimicrobial drugs that include antibiotics, antifungals, antivirals and antiparasitic agents are being extensively used to treat numerous infections and have benefited humanity by the dramatic reduction in morbidity and mortality from diseases. This incits an urgent requirement of enabling drug repurposing strategies and developing medicines suiting multi-resistant microbial strains as well as targeting new infectious agents. This is the mitigation strategies at primary production level as well as the processing level or the retail consumer level. There are two stages we will be following, that on farm or pre-harvest strategies and the post-harvest strategies. On farm pre-harvest strategies that will include the farm management practices, feed and water treatment, breeding and intestinal pathogen control, which will further include innovative vaccines, bacteriophages and bacteriocins, probiotics and prebiotics, phytobiotics and symbiotics, micronutrients, immune therapy, organic acids and acidified feed, chlorate and nitro based compounds, and culling and the multiple interventions. All these will include that will mitigate the on farm or pre-harvest studies, whereas post-harvest strategies that will have the sampling, biofilm removal and disinfection, advanced food processing techniques and hygienic practices. Now, let us discuss in detail each. Pre-harvest or on-farm mitigation strategies. Agricultural, animal and aquacultural products are susceptible to pathogens at the pre-harvest stage, sourcing from soil, water, air, feed, manure, animal and human wastes, workers, on-farm harvesting, handling and transportation equipment. Pre-harvest or on-farm mitigation is crucial for the management of agricultural structures, farm, water and waste operations as a major food safety measure in the farm level. Good agricultural practices and pre-harvest interventions such as the application of biocontrol microbes and health monitoring of aqua species could minimize pathogen introduction. Farm management practices. Pre-harvest mitigation techniques include sanitation and disinfection of animal structures with ozone, formaldehyde, gutturaldehyde, quaternary ammonium compounds, chlorine and acetic acid to eliminate Salmonella species Escherichia, Shigella, Bacillus and Pseudomonas. Polyhexamethylene bigunide hydrochloride, bigunide hydrogen peroxide and quaternary ammonium compounds were applied to disinfect the hatching egg surface, making it 80 to 100% free from Salmonella. Sodium hypochlorite, peroxyacetic acid, lactic acid and citric acid blend and lactic acid to poultry carcass for 30 seconds decreased Campylobacter jejuni by 1.2 to 2 log CFU per ml. Spraying of levulinic sodium dodecyl in poultry transport cases reduces pathogens. Now, the water treatment. Contaminated water sources are a major risk factor for pathogen carriage in animals and aquaculture. Chemicals such as chlorine, chlorine dioxide, organic acid, pectic acid, hydrogen peroxide, lactic acid, caprylic acid and acidic calcium sulphate were used to decontaminate E. coli in the water sources. Electrochemical disinfection, electrolyzed oxidizing water and hydrodynamic cavitation were identified as emerging disinfection strategies. Chemical free advanced electric field treatment for water disinfection in pipes caused more than 6 log inactivation of bacteria with 1 volt. Now, the feed and micronutrient diet formulation. Feed supplements show promising results in pathogen reduction. Decontamination of feed through formaldehyde and propionic acid reduced the Salmonella species in feed storage and mills. Basal diet supplemented with ferric tyrosine reduced Campylobacter jejuni counts by 2 log cycle inactivation in bird caica. Additionally, zinc oxide nanoparticles exhibited notable antibacterial activity against Staphylococcus aureus, Escherichia coli, Pseudomonas aeruginosa and Klebsiella pneumonia bacterial strains in weaned piglets. Zeolite supplementation of chicken reduced poultry pathogen without disturbing beneficial bacteria. Organic acids and acidified feed. Organic acids such as short and medium chain fatty acids and monoglycerides have emerged as pathogen deactivators and health improvers in pig production. Similarly, using organic acids and acidified feeds for the reduction in Salmonella species and Campylobacter increases absorption of essential nutrients in broilers. Organic acids showed an enhanced immune system and reduction in pathogen in piglet. Bacteriophages and bacteriocins. Bacteriophages are non-pathogenic viruses that target and infect specific bacteria. They replicate within the host, that is bacteria, through a lytic replicative cycle. Bacteriophages appear to be a promising new food safety tool in the poultry industry. This can be applied to both food and environment. At the pre-harvest stage, bacteriophages are used as phase therapies such as antibacterial agents and feed activities used prior to slaughter for the prevention, treatment and control of bacterial infections. Similarly, at the post-harvest stage, it has two applications, that is food biocontrol food biopreservatives, food decontamination or safety, direct on food application and food packaging, etc. and disinfection, for example processing aid and decontamination of food contact surfaces, equipment, skin of poultry carcasses, etc. Now, the post harvest management strategies: hygienic measures, processing, disinfection of food containing pathogens, biofilm removal and sterilization of food equipment, packages are the major post harvest control strategies. Moreover, consumer awareness is crucial throughout the food value chain. For example, at the processing, distribution, sale, retail and consumption level. Hygienic measures: the handling and consumption of meat, blood and offal from wild animals, for example bush meat or wild meat, are very common. This practice has facilitated the introduction of different pathogens in the human population. The way to reduce these epidemic events is to limit the interaction of humans with wild animals, mainly with mammals and birds, which are known to be the critical causes. Risk mitigation at the household level is the foremost important strategy to prevent pathogen contamination or any cross contamination by practicing hand washing, disinfecting surfaces, cooking foods, sanitizing pet areas, preventing pet contact, practicing safe pet feeding practices, keeping pet food in dry and isolated areas, and keeping children of less than 5 years of age away from the pet food, feeding areas and supervision during interactions. Now, the advanced food processing techniques. The safekeeping of consumers over the transmission of zoonotic foodborne infectious disease from deceased animal consumption, unhygienic slaughterhouses and unscientific processing means has been a deep concern for centuries. The occurrence of foodborne illness outbreaks require the intervention of advanced novel processing and preservation techniques to mitigate pathogens and fulfill HACCP requirements. Advanced disinfection methods include the use of high pressure processing, pulsed electric field, ozone, cold plasma, ultrasound, UV light, pulse light, irradiation, supercritical carbon dioxide, organic acids and nano packaging to inactivate pathogens. The non-thermal processing technologies escalated their demands in the near past for their promising deliverables of high quality convenient foods with natural taste and flavor that are free of chemical additions and preservatives. Physical techniques such as lasers, radiation, photodynamic therapy and non-thermal atmospheric plasma have also been used for disinfection in industrial environments. High pressure processing. A pressure level of 300 to 600 megapascal with a treatment time of 3 to 10 minutes at room or chill temperature can provide a 2 to 5 log reduction of pathogenic and spoilage microbes in meat and fish products. Ozone treatment. Pathogen inactivation is caused by highly reactive superoxide, and hyperoxide radicals. Ozone affects the cell wall and membrane with progressive degradation to cellular integrity. Cold plasma. Reactive oxygen species can either eradicate pathogens directly by causing oxidative stress or remove them indirectly via a variety of non-oxidative mechanisms, including T cell responses, autophagy, and pattern identification receptor signaling. Ultrasound processing. Ultrasonic waves produce bubbles or cavities in the given medium, and continuous higher acoustic energy absorption induces the implosion of bubbles, releasing higher energy, leading to higher mass transfer, also called cavitation effect. This cavitation effect is favored in disinfection, cleaning, and processing in the food industry. Ultraviolet light treatment. In pathogenic reduction, the germicidal wavelength of UVC is used, which damages the DNA of microbes, and UVA light inactivates the microorganisms due to oxidative disturbance. Irradiation. DNA molecules are damaged when exposed to ionizing radiations, thus causing cell injury or death. Virus is the most resistant to irradiation, while molds and vegetative bacteria are the least resistant. The quantity of dose varies from 2 to 4.8 kg to inactivate the biological material. Now, some precautions has to be followed. The need to take precautions is necessary for mitigation of several diseases and losses. The losses are more costly than prevention. An economic analysis for costs related to food safety showed that the investment for prevention is a lot cheaper than that of an after event. The precautions of food safety can be involving proper sterile conditions should be maintained for food processing and storage. Proper cooking should be done for raw foods. Sterile packaging should be followed for packaged ready to eat food items. Adequate temperature and humidity should be maintained in working environment of food. HVAC, that is the heating, ventilation and air conditioning systems, should be installed in all the premises of food facility. Storage and preparation area for both raw and cooked food must be separated to avoid cross contamination. Proper washing and cleaning of equipment used in food preparation, storage, transport and distribution should be done. Regular food testing from random lots should be done for monitoring of physical quality. Monitoring of hygiene quality. Management system followed should comply with ISO 9000. Proper cooking guidelines should be followed. Swab collection from equipment and workers and its testing to monitor hygiene quality. Awareness programs organized by professionals of companies to educate workers. Proper sanitation, hygiene and quality checks done by officials. Proper handling of food by workers should be done. The environment should be maintained such that no bacterial growth can occur. For example, storage of unused food items must be stored in refrigerator at 4 to 8 degrees Celsius, and frozen meats and seafoods must be stored in deep freezer, etc. The precautions can be taken on the basis of hazards such as physical, chemical and biological hazards. For physical hazards, elimination system can be used such as detectors detecting metals, X-ray machines in case of animal foods. Similarly, for chemical hazards, removal of using fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides, etc. in the agricultural field can minimize the food contamination, and all of these are potent contaminants of environment as well. And food contamination starts from milk, egg, meat, etc. The discharge from industries includes heavy metals, toxins, waste and pollutes the field and water bodies, which can act as a source of contamination for food. To overcome this, enforcements by food safety regulators, food safety regulations are to be followed. Biological hazards are very critical to control because this hazard can occur at any stage of food from farm to plate. To control microbial growth, controlling temperature, pH, humidity and moisture is necessary, and ionizing radiations are used sometimes in case of animal food. Preventive measures. To regulate chemical levels in food, there are many legislations and regulating bodies. Food adulteration and unhealthy additives are not allowed legally. Therefore, for chemical hazard prevention, effective surveillance and response systems are necessary. The limits of chemicals such as pesticide concentration are assigned by FDA, which are allowed to add in the food. However, there are countries which depend upon agriculture and pesticides are seeped into groundwater, having food and water in high levels. The government has taken appropriate steps that minimizes individual exposure against food contaminants. However, there are many measures that are still to be taken to reduce the diseases and human risks. During pre-harvest and pre-slaughter, in order to remove pathogen adoption of GAP, that is the good agricultural practices, during crop development and harvesting must be done. At harvest stage, contamination can be prevented by potable hand wash section, hand wash station, equipment sanitization, etc. Good hygiene practices should be followed and maintained. Containers filled with chemicals should be properly labeled and stored away from food items. Food containers should never come in use to mix or transport chemicals and chemicals related products, and lubricants used for equipment should be food safe. Proper use of personal protective equipment like gloves, caps, glasses, apron, etc. should be followed during the process. The health of personnel working in the food production, processing, storing, distribution and preparation must be diagnosed on regular basis. Practice of hand washing with soaps and disinfectants and clean water should be followed by personnel during entry and exit of food handling premises and after using toilets. The containers used must be in good quality and shape. Also, the vehicle used should be cleaned before loading packages into it. The workers handling the transportation process should maintain personal hygiene and sanitation to avoid cross contamination. The transport that is used for food delivery must be different from non-food items. Transporting petroleum and hazardous chemicals with food items is restricted. That's all for today. Thank you very much.